Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop. In this video, we're going to be doing a versus video between the Adidas Don issue 6 and the Adidas AE 1. Adidas is making a comeback. They're making some banger, amazing performing hoop shoes, and they're also really nicely priced. They only retail for 120 bucks, and these are top tier performing hoop shoes. So yeah, both of these shoes, I would give it like top 5 performing hoop shoes right now in my personal opinion. So if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I try to leave an affiliate link in the description box, and if you do choose to get both of these shoes or either of them, it does help me out if you buy it from the affiliate links in the description box or the product pictures underneath this video or right over here. I'll try to put a link. And as always, thank you guys so much for all the support, but of course pretty much Donovan Mitchell signature shoe versus Anthony Edwards signature shoe. And Adidas also released like the team colorways, which is pretty cool. The AE1, they didn't really do that. And also a lot of their colorways are sold out, which kind of sucks for the AE1. But anyways, let's get started right off with the Traction. So amazing traction for both of these shoes. Top tier, really good bite. So if you're playing on a clean court, it surprised the hell out of me because the AE1, first of all, has an amazing bite, like one of the hardest stops you can get right now. But then also I tried the Don issue 6, and on a clean court, it has an amazing bite as well, just as hard as the AE1, which surprised the hell out of me because all of Donovan Mitchell's shoes, like his entire shoe line, wasn't the best for traction. You know what I mean? So the Don issue 6 definitely surprised the hell out of me. Also, it's weird because both of these shoes, if you look at the outsole, they're both using translucent rubbers, and usually translucent rubbers don't perform as well, but it has an amazing bite, right? And also, if you're playing on a dusty court, they both bite through dust extremely well. If I were to nitpick, however, I would say the Don issue 6 picks up a little bit more dust, just a tiny bit more, but for me, in my personal experience, they're both really nice on a dusty court as well. So bites through dust extremely well, picks up very minimal dust. If it does pick up a little bit of dust, it's a very easy wipe for both of them as well. So amazing for both of them. And then as far as like outdoor use goes, I don't know. I definitely feel like just from, you know, the surface area, I think the Don issue 6 would be a little bit better because there's more rubber in contact with the ground, which will improve the durability, right? So if you look at the AE1, there are some crevices in the actual outsole. So these parts won't be in contact with the ground. So because of that, and also the rubber is, as far as the rubber hardness goes, I would say it's around the same. Maybe the AE1's a little bit softer. But because of the surface area, I think the Don issue 6 is going to be a little bit better for outdoor use. So yeah, I mean, if you're playing on an indoor court, they're both amazing, and the Don issue 6 is a little bit better on an outdoor court. So there's that. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, they're both pretty dang nice, right? So here in the heel, we have a nice curved shape for the Don issue 6, and also the AE1, we have a nice curved heel. However, it is a little bit clunkier because it's just all rubber, right? There's no foam or anything, so it doesn't feel super smooth here in the heel, but it's not super clunky, it just feels a little clunky for the AE1. The Don issue 6, of course, has fully exposed foam, which makes it a lot softer in the heel. Also in the forefoot, we have a nice curved shape. The AE1, also a nice curved shape, but not as curved as the Don issue 6. Right, so the Don issue 6 is a little bit more kind of like smooth, especially for the rocking motion, you know. But also here in the forefoot, we have a nice little springiness to it, you know, but it's more flexible. And then here in the AE1, it is a little bit springier, however, because we do have that plate, that X-shaped plate. So they both feel nice. Just out of the first step, you just feel a little bit springier in the AE1, but then in Don issue 6, when you're doing heel dominant strides down the court, it just feels a little bit smoother. So it's just a little bit different for a heel to toe transition for both of the shoes. They're both pretty dang nice, just better in some ways, right? So there's that. Moving on to the cushioning setup. So the cushioning setup also, they're both nice. It's just different. You know what I mean? So for me, obviously, I have my preference, but I feel like most people, there's gonna be like 50%, or like, you know, it'll be pretty even as to what you guys want, you know what I mean? So if you want court feel, go with the AE1. The court feel is really good in the AE1. You are lower to the ground. If you want a little bit more like softness and also a little bit more compression from the actual midsole, then go with the Don issue 6, because obviously this is all foam, it's exposed foam. You have nice compression from this shoe versus the AE1, which has pretty much no compression, right? But also underfoot cushion, I would say the AE1 is a little bit better. The Don issue 6 is still pretty nice. Just it feels a little bit softer for underfoot cushion with the boost, right? But it is pretty similar because, you know, even for the AE1, the strobe board is a little bit softer than the Don issue 6, but it is a thinner foam because you are lower to the ground versus the Don issue 6, right? So because of that, underfoot cushion just a tiny bit better in the AE1. Court feel just a tiny bit better in the AE1. Overall impact protection, they're both good. I didn't have any issues with the AE1, but the Don G6 is going to be a little bit better because there is, you know, thicker foam. You are higher up off the ground, and you have nice compression here in the heel, right? You still have, it's still average for court feel, like pretty good court feel, but it's just, the AE1's just better, right? But again, they're both good cushioning setups. It's just they're different, right? But in my personal opinion, I like the AE1 better because I like, you know, court feel a little bit better, and also the underfoot cushion is still really nice, and impact protection was adequate for me. So I'm gonna lean toward the AE1 a little bit, but of course, if you like the Don H6 cushion better, that's fine as well, right? So there's that. Moving on to the upper. So in my personal opinion, I definitely like the Don G6 material better, right? So we have this really thin mesh material. Just look at how it's broken in. It's so soft. It's so soft, just like here in the toe box area, right? We do have some fuse, of course, for extra durability and support. It does get a little bit stiffer around the edge of the toe box, which is good. So that feels nice here in the toe box, of course, right? The AE1, we have this, of course, a plastic piece, this plastic wing on the lateral and medial side of the shoe, which is pretty dang crazy, but it still breaks in pretty nicely. It's still kind of soft, you know, but it does feel obviously thicker and a little bit more cumbersome, just a tiny bit more than the Don H6. I mean, it's still really nice, and it still conforms to fit really well for the AE1, right? It's just, I like how the Don H6 is a little bit thinner, but also still pretty much just as supportive overall for the upper, right? Because we have this plastic going around the entire shoe, right? The eyelets, right? Also around the heel. The AE1, I mean, it doesn't have that, but you have a lot more plastic, you know what I mean? So I feel like the Don G6 is still just as supportive for the overall upper, you know? And then for the tongue, it's around the same for the padding, not super nice. And it's also half booty construction tongue for the Don G6. The AE1, it's not a half, it's kind of, you know what I mean? We have like these elastic bands that keep the tongue in place and also kind of stretch over your foot a little bit, improving the fit, kind of like a half booty construction tongue. So they're both nice for that. And also here in the ankle area, I would say like on the sides, it's around the same for the padding, and then here in the ankle area, it's around the same as well. Not super well padded, but of course we have this kind of like Achilles pad for the Don H6, which doesn't really like improve the comfort that much in my personal opinion. And it's kind of annoying to put on because like it kind of flips like this and just stays down until I fix it, you know, when I'm putting the shoe on, which of course that has nothing to do with performance, just a little annoying, you know? But as far as the overall quality goes, I don't know. I think I like the Don H6 a little bit more. I mean, because like I don't know if it's coming out on camera, but there's a lot of scuff marks on the A1. I mean, it's like scuffs up a lot. You know what I mean? And also here on the lateral side. So because of that, I like the Don H6, and just, you know, with this mesh material feels a little bit better, right? So there is the upper there. Moving on to the fit, I went true to size for both of these shoes, and they both fit me like a glove. Perfect fit for me personally, you know. So here in the toe box is a pretty nice snug fit. Lengthwise, my toes go right to the edge of the shoe, and widthwise, I would say they're like normal to slightly narrow for me. So very, very nice snug fits, which is weird, you know what I mean? They both fit me very, very well. And now moving on to the support and lockdown. So for lateral containment, I was good to go here in the Don H6. I didn't really have any issues, right? Because even though this is a mesh material, it's very, very thin. This TPU stiffens up the overall upper, right? It makes it a lot more rigid. And also we have the foam coming up, acting as a sidewall here in the forefoot and heel. And also there's an internal TPU heel counter. So lateral containment was really good. I didn't have any issues with my foot coming out of the footbed. And also, I mean, obviously for the AE1, you have this crazy plastic piece. So I didn't have any issues with that either. And lateral stability, they're both very good for me. Very wide bases. So they're both laterally stable, and I didn't have any issues with heel slippage or anything like that. Once I laced the shoes up, my foot felt locked into the shoe for both of them. I mean, the Don H6 didn't feel super locked down, like crazy good lockdown, but it wasn't like slipping out, you know what I mean? So both of them really, really nice for support and lockdown, which is a surprise because the Don H6 is extremely lightweight, right? This shoe is way lighter than the AE1. It's 11.35 ounces. Nice. So the average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces. So that's over an ounce lighter than average for the Don H6. And then this shoe is like 15.55 ounces, guys. So that's like a 4 ounce difference almost, you know what I mean? So 4 ounces lighter is kind of crazy. And you definitely feel the weight difference. Like the Don H6 definitely does feel lighter. However, it definitely doesn't feel more responsive. You know what I mean? So when you're playing in both of the shoes, or I mean like when I was playing both of them, I felt extremely quick in both of them. You know what I mean? Like traction is god tier. The cushions low to the ground here in the AE1, responsive. My foot felt locked into the shoe. Support was great. So I felt lightning quick in both of the shoes. It's just, it felt lighter for the Don Shoe 6 and a little bit more minimal and also thinner for the upper, obviously, right? But also the AE1 isn't even that bulky. There's really no bulk to the overall shoe. Nothing's protruding out like crazy. It's pretty streamlined towards your foot. So you can feel quick when you're playing both of them. It's just the Don Shoe 6 just feels lighter of a shoe, you know what I mean? So there's that. Moving on to the ventilation, yeah, the Don Shoe 6 is gonna be better. You know, the material is a lot thinner. They say we have good ventilation through these holes, but you really don't. I mean, there's like really no airflow through that. There's better airflow through this mesh material for the Don Shoe 6. So yeah, it's a cooler shoe. And as far as the aesthetics go, I mean, I like the AE1 better. The AE1 looks great, but the Don Shoe 6, in my personal opinion, looks still pretty nice. I like the simple design overall. And then with the team colorways, with the very simple colorways, they look pretty nice too. So tell us what you guys think looks better down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, so both of them have some pros and cons, you know what I mean? But they're both amazing performers. Or not pros and cons, but it's just like whatever your preference is, you should lean towards one shoe. You can't go wrong with either of them, you know what I mean? So for example, like if you want better court feel, right, go with the AE1. Also, if you want better durability, I would say the AE1's probably gonna be better because with this really thin mesh material, this will probably like not be as durable as this material, you know what I mean? Like I said, you're gonna feel extremely quick in both of these shoes, right? But also if you want a lighter shoe, then go with the Don Shoe 6. They're both amazing, they're just different. And I feel like, you know, whatever your preference is, you can go with whatever shoe and still have an amazing time, right? So for me personally, I like the AE1 a little bit better, you know what I mean? Because I still feel extremely quick in it, and while still having really good court feel, which I kind of prioritize a little bit more, just for my personal preference, but the Don Shoe 6 is still really, really nice, right? So anyways, that about concludes this versus video, and hope this video helped you guys out. And again, if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I try to leave the link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.